our young generation made the 2020s as roaring as the 1920s, the 1920s brought about dazzling twists and turns, from a huge leap for women in the right to vote, to the Model T car, and even something as small as a movie ticket. Then if we go forward 100 years, we have more advanced things, such as more advanced refrigerators, airplanes, and even washing machines. So to understand some of the things that have changed in the past 100 years, let's take a look back at the items, events, and prices from then and now. So the beginning of the 1920s featured many things, right? Like new rights for women and the right to vote, and then you had prohibition, and then the price of products, which are very different from today. But what about the movie theater? We all love to go to them, right? According to ABC4 News, an article comparisons the Roaring 20s to the 2020s in the Low Country. Movie tickets today cost about $10, but in the 1920s, a double feature cost about 25 cents. And what if you want to drive to the movie theater? Gas, according to ABC4 News, was only about 50 cents for a tank, which we now pay $2.33 per gallon. Even in the grocery store in 2020, we pay around $2.75 for butter, and milk $2.50, and eggs 70 cents a dozen. But in the 1920s, butter costed 70 cents, milk costed around 60 per gallon, and eggs 68 cents a dozen. And speaking of price, what items do you need to buy for your home? The 1920s brought home many new items, some of which have changed over time that we use today. For example, the refrigerator, which was like an ice box that had to be filled with ice from the Iceman, is now a modern refrigerator that can spit out ice with the touch of a button. Then you have the washing machine. According to brandculture.com, in the 1920s, the electric washing machine was first in use. But now we have a washing machine that you can put different loads, and all you have to do is add detergent. There is also many other items that were different from today, such as the upright vacuum cleaner, the iron, the electric popcorn machine, and the electric stove and hot plate, and of course, the radio. Then moving out of the house, we have what is outdoor. Today we have cars that were very different from back then. We have anything from sedans to hatchbacks to convertibles and trucks. But in the 1920s, you had, for example, in the article, looking back in time, the 1920s versus 2020s. Henry Ford's Model T car, and with his cars, the industrialized assembly line had changed the face of production forever. Then lastly, the 1920s brought about events that affect us even today. One of the most familiar symbols of the 1920s was the flappers, with skirts who were young blonde-haired women with skirts whom supposedly drank and smoked. But according to History.com, most of these women did none of these things. But even those who were not flappers gained some freedom when in the 1920s the 19th Amendment came about and women gained some freedom at last. And it's because of this that both men and women are allowed to vote. So to wrap up this video, I would like to say one more thing. Much of our society has changed leading into the 2020s, which has resulted from things like technological innovation. Just as in the 1920s, economic prosperity has hastened the development of products such as the refrigerator, washing machine, and stove. Modern technology, such as the telephone, has brought friends, family, and even strangers you just met together. So, from movie tickets to grocery that costed less than what they are now, to products and events that have changed how we live, and people who change how we think. What do you think the young generation will do, think,